Hey guys, welcome to my new Halloween episode of Movies You Should Be Watching. Just like last year, I have 13 movies for you instead of 10 because, as we all know, 13 is scarier than 10.
The only thing worse than being trapped in a house with a ghost is being trapped in a house with 13 ghosts.
For my first movie, I'm going to cheat a little and include a movie still in theaters, Mother. I think most would agree with me that the trailers couldn't do this film justice, and it definitely didn't help to have this open with a hugely anticipated remake, but this film was definitely a pleasant surprise. Darren Aronofsky's films are always filled with dark, psyche-bending imagery, but Mother turns it up to 11. The last act of the movie is beyond intense and disturbing, and everything that led up to it was just the right amount of creepy to keep me invested. There wasn't a single weak performance to be found, which is very important considering we spend so much of the film with 3 or 4 people. All of that being said, however, this isn't a conventional horror movie. The film is a metaphor for society, religion, celebrity culture, and many other things, but if that's not your cup of tea, then certain scenes will come across clunky and awkward to you. This movie is incredibly divisive, so if you want something more straightforward, then I'd watch something else. But if you like horror that plays on your sense of reality while presenting some fantastic social commentary, then check this out.
What have you done? I'm so sorry. We're both sorry. I was telling her the story.
It just fell out of my hand.
We'll search and find
We can
another
pay
one,
for
I
a
promise.
new one.
Quiet! Please. Please!
Next is the 2016 French film Raw. The film follows a young vegetarian who slowly turns to cannibalism. The makeup and effects were incredibly realistic, which only made this film more disgusting, but in a good way. I found myself turning away from the screen several times because the effects were too convincing. The performances were great, especially from lead actresses Garance Milliere and Ella Rumpf, and it offered a great allegory for loss of innocence. I definitely recommend this one.
Dad.
Next up is the 2015 mystery film, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Given our current state of obsession with ghost stories, I was really surprised that this one didn't get as much attention as it did. The film is about 2 coroners trying to determine the cause of death for an unidentified corpse. Surprisingly enough, the corpse in this film was portrayed by an actual actress instead of a prop body, which added some subtle nuance to the creepy atmosphere, such as cutting to her face in one shot, cutting away, and cutting back for her face to be slightly different. And while you could argue that it hurts the continuity to do this, I found it only making the film creepier. Olwen Kelly was great in her role, as were Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch as the coroners. My only real critique with this film is that it goes for the cheap orchestra sting jump scares more than a couple times, but the rest of the film outweighs those flaws, so give this one a watch.
Oh, I hadn't expected that.
Tongue has been
Severed. Crudely. Non-surgically.
Wish you could have bitten it off. You know, she ODs on something tensed up.
These aren't bite marks. See, striations. I've seen something like this before. About 15 years back, human trafficking around Norfolk. 2 girls, hands and feet bound tight to keep them from running. Cut out their tongues for making too much noise.
You think this was some kind of a prostitution thing?
Can't rule it out.
Up next is the 2006 horror comedy Slither. If you want something that's both ridiculous and horrific, you'll love this one. In this film, an alien parasite slowly infects an entire town and turns them into zombies, while the local sheriff tries to contain the situation. The creature effects in this film were fantastic, blending well-made animatronics, makeup, and CGI. This is a fantastic horror comedy that pokes fun at many classic films like The Blob, Night of the Creeps, and Night of the Living Dead, so check it out.
Why are you running from me, baby? I wasn't gonna hurt you. I love you, baby. I tried not to change. I get it. I'm too ugly for you now. Is that it?
You don't want to hurt me.
You betrayed me. I can't trust you no more. Huh? Yeah, I got a little surprise for you. Huh? Sugar
What the fuck was that?
Next is an Austrian psychological film called Goodnight Mommy. Like Raw, this one moves incredibly slow, but it works very well. The film is about twin boys living in a country house with their mother who recently underwent facial reconstructive surgery, but who also may not be their mother at all. The movie takes place almost exclusively in the house, which not only creates a good sense of claustrophobia, but the low lighting creates a unique, ominous tone, which was also strengthened by the very selective use of the film's score. My only problem is that the twin boys' performance was a little bland at times, but the rest of the film outweighs the few moments that they didn't feel real. This is a very creepy movie with an incredibly tense atmosphere, and you should definitely see it.
Na? Gut. Bist du verrückt? Lass das. Was soll das? Was soll das?
Wir wollen unsere Mutter zurück.
Wie bitte?
Wir wollen unsere Mama zurück.
Bist du verrückt geworden? Bist du vollkommen verrückt geworden? Räum das sofort auf und dann geh rauf aufs Zimmer.
Du bist nicht unsere Mama.
Aufs Zimmer. Ich hab's so satt.
Zeig uns halt das Muttermal.
Ich hab's so satt.
Zeig uns das Muttermal.
Jetzt reicht's. Noch irgendwas? Noch irgendwas? Ja?
At number 6 is the 2015 Lovecraftian horror film, The Void. First of all, if you don't know what that term means, then I highly recommend the works of H.P. Lovecraft, a horror writer famous for his apocalyptic and psychological short stories. His work has influenced a very specific brand of horror seen in such films as In the Mouth of Madness, from my previous list, Absentia, and of course this film. You don't need to have read his work to appreciate this movie, but if you want more of an appreciation for movies like this, then you should definitely read some of his stories. The plot involves a small group of people trapped in a hospital by a strange cult. The cinematography and lighting created a very nightmarish atmosphere, which the synthesized score aided very well. The special effects were also amazing for such a low-budget film. All this is to say, if you took the cinematography and lighting of Green Room, the score of It Follows, and the special effects of The Thing, then you get The Void.
Beverly? Are you okay? Beverly, what? Jesus Christ. What the fuck are you doing, Beverly?
This isn't my face.
What? Bev. No, don't do that. Bev! Put the scissors down. Look at me! Bev, okay, stop. Jesus.
It's not me.
No, don't do that. Bev.
Can you help me?
Bev, stop. No, Beverly, stop!
Next up is the 2014 Italian-American romance film Spring. If you've ever wanted to watch a scary film with your girlfriend, then this one is sure to please. An American guy decides to take a trip to Europe to forget his problems and ends up falling for a girl who isn't exactly what she seems. The lead actors did a fantastic job, especially towards the end of the film, but I won't get into that in detail. Going into the movie, I wasn't terribly invested, but once I got past the 15-minute mark, I found myself growing more and more attached to these characters and how their situation would pan out. Horror fans will love it for its scary scenes, and non-horror fans will love it for its romance, so check it out.
You should quit smoking.
You are a hypocrite.
No, I'm not. Would you mind watching the soup while I use the restroom?
Yeah, sure. Soup's ready.
Just a second.
At number 8, we have a 2002 film called May. If the obsessed girlfriend meme became a horror film, then this would probably be it. Angela Bettis is very creepy in her role, much in the same way as Hannah Fearman's performance in VHS. The story follows an awkward young woman trying to live a normal life while slowly going crazy. The plot moved fairly slow, but that only helps us to identify more with the characters around her. Speaking of characters, that was one thing that bothered me. Some of the characters are a little insufferable. One was a very blatant 1990s to early 2000s stereotype, and Anna Faris's role was a little too ditzy for my taste, but that could easily be interpreted as a metaphor for May feeling so out of touch with the people around her. This movie offers a very dark and interesting character study, so if you get the chance, see it.
Hello?
Is Adam there?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. How did you know it was me? Hello?
Who is this?
May, silly. What are you doing tonight? Hello?
Why?
I was just thinking that maybe we could get together and do something.
I have plans.
Oh. Quiet!
Hello? Who are you talking to?
What about tomorrow night?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, well, what time? I'll wait.
Don't do that.
No. It's okay. I'll wait.
I gotta go, man.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow then.
Goodbye, man.
Next up, I'm going to cheat again and include two movies in one, the 1997 Austrian film Funny Games and the 2007 American remake Funny Games USA. Both films are directed by Austrian filmmaker Michael Haneke, and both serve as statements on film violence and societal obsession with death and gore. Now, of the two, it doesn't matter which film you watch, because the 2007 version is a shot-for-shot remake of the 1997 film. That being said, however, I'd personally recommend the 2007 film more purely because this version is a bit more polished looking, which adds to the tone of sophistication amidst violence. But I'd argue that while this film is incredibly slow-paced, there isn't a moment that goes by without some form of tension, suspense, or violence, and if that doesn't make for a good horror film, then I don't know what does. Like Mother, though, this film's message is presented at the forefront, so people looking for a quick escape might be disappointed with this one, but I still think anyone can appreciate this film if they're willing to give it a chance.
Okay, we bet. What time is it? 8:40. That in, let's say, 12 hours, all three of you are gonna be kaput. Okay?
What?
You bet that you'll be alive tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and we bet that you'll be dead. Okay?
They don't want to bet.
Well, it's not an option. There has to be a bet. I mean, what do you think? You think they stand a chance? Well, you're on their side, aren't you? Who are you betting on,
But wait, what kind of bet is this? If they're dead, they can't live up to their side. And if they win, they can't live either.
Yes, they'll lose either way. That's what I'm saying.
At number 10 is the 2014 film The Babadook. Okay, this is the last artsy metaphor movie on this list, I promise. The film follows a single mother trying to raise her son while they both begin to be visited by a strange creature called the Babadook. While I think there are a lot of things this movie does well, I'll be the first to admit that this movie isn't without its flaws. The child actors were a little unrealistic at times, and there were some plot points that I wish had been delivered differently, but other than that, I think this is a very solid horror film. The film delivers on its suspense beautifully, which draws you in and keeps you invested from the beautiful opening scene. Aided with the creepy pop-up book to show off the antagonist and an amazing performance from Essie Davis in her leading role, and you have a fantastic psychological thriller mixed with paranormal overtones. Word of advice though, avoid what BuzzFeed has to say about this film if you want to be genuinely afraid.
Where'd you get this? On the shelf.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. If you're a really clever one and you know what it is to see, then you can make friends with a special one, a friend of you and me. His name is Mr. Babadook, and this is his book. A rumbling sound, then 3 sharp knocks. Ba-ba-ba-dook, dook, dook. That's when you'll know he's around. You'll see him if you look.
Babadook, dook, dook.
We might read another one tonight, eh?
But you said I could choose.
This is what he wears on top. He's funny, don't you think? See him in your room at night.
Mom, does it hurt the boy? Mom, does it live under the bed? Mom? Mummy! Mummy!
How sweet were they, son, telling of the happiness and loveliness that lay at the bottom of the ocean, and entreating the sailors not to be afraid.
Next is the 2017 film It Comes at Night. First and foremost, I find it very important that you go into this movie knowing as little about it as possible. The title already is very deceptive, so I've already steered you the wrong way. What I can tell you, though, is that the performances were great and the film was shot beautifully, especially the nighttime sequences. Aside from that, the script was beautifully written. There's a lot that happened prior to the events of this film that's implied through natural dialogue that never feels forced. Unfortunately, something seen rarely in films today. I highly recommend this film. At number 12 is the 2015 film The Invitation. Plot centers on a group of friends having a dinner party reunion while their hosts discuss a new form of grief therapy they've been through. A recurring theme with most of the films I've mentioned on this list is praise for excellent cinematography and lighting, because both these factors are incredibly important in horror films. The ability to reveal information through blocking in angles while using lights to set a tone is essential to provide atmosphere, and in horror films, atmosphere is top priority, especially when a film like this spends its entirety in one location. The music, while minimal, was eerily beautiful and also incredibly off-putting, instilling a great sense of dread for what could be going on. So get a bunch of friends together for a dinner party and play this for them over a nice glass of wine, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed.
During times like this, nights like this night, I think of her quite a bit.
Did she, pass away?
Yeah, she did. We had been drinking. I had been drinking. We had just come home from a dinner, and we were in the kitchen. We fell into one of those arguments, you know, one of those stupid fights that last your whole marriage. I think it was about the dishes. Somebody started yelling. I don't remember who. I went to pour myself another drink. She tried to stop me, and something just gave. I turned and hit her as hard as I could. Her knees buckled. She hit her head. I think she was trying to get back up. She had her hand out. She was staring at me. And then she collapsed and she was gone.
And finally, we have the 2008 film The Poughkeepsie Tapes. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Good found footage horror films are next to impossible to find these days, so this one was a very, very pleasant surprise. The film is framed as a documentary, intercut with interviews and fabricated events that push the film's plot forward, which was something I hadn't seen before. The film follows the FBI trying to find a serial killer through videotapes of various abductions and killings left by the killer in an abandoned home in Poughkeepsie. The footage was very believable, in part due to some fantastic performances, and in part due to very believable special effects. All of this being said, however, I'd only recommend this film if you watch horror films regularly, as this film features some incredibly disturbing footage. If you can stomach some pretty intense gore and torture sequences, then you'll love this film. But if that's not for you, you'll also be pleasantly surprised by suspenseful, voyeuristic sequences that will leave you on the edge of your seat. If there's any film you should see this Halloween, I hope it's this one.
I've been stuck here for over an hour.
You know, you really shouldn't be out here by yourself with that Water Street butcher on the loose and all.
I thought he just attacked prostitutes.
Hey, look, there's a gas station a mile down where you'll be safe. Let me drop you there, then you won't have to wait out here alone.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind?
Not at all.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Wait, I have a lot of stuff up here. Would you mind jumping into the bag?
Sure, why not? Oh. Thank you. Oh, this is what it looks like to be arrested.
Hey, you ever been arrested?
Not that I care to admit to. Oh, I once got arrested for drinking underage, but that's it. Wow, I've had such a long day. I think that was the exit to the gas station. Excuse me? Wasn't that the exit to the gas station?
Well, I guess it was.
Perhaps you better turn around.
You know, can I ask you something?
What? Would you please turn around?
Why did you call me officer?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Well, before you got into the car, you called me officer. Why did you call me that?
I thought police liked it when you called them that.
Well, they do, but I'm not a cop.
You're not?
No.
That's not very funny.
Well, I'm not trying to be.
So I don't understand. What are you then?
I'm a butcher.
And there you have my new Halloween list of movies you should be watching. If these films looked interesting to you, you can find Raw, The Void, Funny Games, The Babadook, and The Invitation on Netflix. I'm working hard on my next list, as well as some more short films and projects that I can't wait to share with you. I'll be uploading a new video that I made for my campus student-run comedy sketch series on the 31st, shortly after it airs on TV, so be sure to check it out when it goes up. And shortly after that, I have more projects I'll be releasing soon, so stay tuned for those. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and have a happy Halloween.